Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk with this week's episode of You Need That Record. And so what I'm going to show this week, this is a recent acquisition. This is Siouxsie and the Banshees, Juju, album from 1981. I have a recent reissue of it here. This isn't an OG. There's the back cover. Not all that dissimilar from the front cover. And here's my vinyl. It's black. And so, as I said, this album came from 1981. I believe it was their fourth studio album. I'm just off the top of my head, not memory. But I think the early 80s was, in general, the strongest part of Siouxsie and the Banshees' career. So, of course, you've got Siouxsie Sioux on vocals, the ever-present Steve Severin on bass. They had lost their original guitar player and drummer. Budgie became the drummer, and he's just a wonderful drummer. Him and Siouxsie, who did eventually become partners, they were married. I think they did get divorced about 15 years ago. If you're not aware, they had a side project called The Creatures, which was pretty much very percussion heavy, a lot of non-Western sort of rhythms in his drumming. And I think bringing him into the band kind of brought them to a new level. And then what was always a problem with Siouxsie and the Banshees for their entire career was guitar players, as they ended up going through a lot. John McGeoch, who had been in Magazine, later did a stint in Public Image Limited. I think he did pass away about 10 or 15 years ago. So John McGeoch, just wonderful guitar playing. Very first song, Spellbound. I mean, that's just one of the great guitar parts, one of the great post-punk guitar parts ever. Spellbound. Now let's just look at make sure I don't forget anything from the track list here. So we have Into the Light, Arabian Nights, I remember that, Halloween, Monitor, Night Shift, Sin in My Heart. I always found Sin in My Heart really interesting because you've got the trade-off of just the very complex and accomplished guitar work by John McGeoch, and then you have Siouxsie Sioux, who's not a guitar player. She's playing just some incredibly simple chords, and so there's kind of the play between the couple chords that Siouxsie learned, and then end of the song, McGeoch is basically just going off in space, playing his part. Head Cut, Voodoo Dolly. So you've got 9 tracks on this album. And at some point, I'm going to do a ranking the albums of Siouxsie and the Banshees. I'm not ready to do that yet because there are a few things that I don't have on physical format at this time period. But I would like to get. As a spoiler alert, this is going to be, if it's not at the very top, this album is definitely going to be very near the top of the list. If you were only going to own one Siouxsie and the Banshees album, I don't think you'd be making a mistake if you made a Juju.